One thing that's really, I think something important to add is like paying for experiences, and experience is different than buying a new thing. Those experiences typically provide either or a revelatory experience, traditionally will shift you towards health, or experience that will dramatically assist you in raising the children.
Funny how.
Come here, though. Yeah, he's crazy, see? Who are you?
Because I've been doing it for a long time and I never do intros just because I hate intros. Usually when I listen to podcasts, I'm like, come on, man, cut to the chase. Let's get this going.
Yeah. Plus 15 seconds, plus 15 seconds, plus 15 seconds.
That's right, dude. But if you can, man, give me a little cliff notes of kind of what you do and all that. So,
I work with adults and teenagers and families, and we teach them real life skills. There's a free online platform for parents where we teach them everything that we teach their kids. And It's around entrepreneurship, health and priorities, and self-leadership, which is basically like emotions.
And you got a nice setup, man. I mean, for people that are just listening, you got to go watch this thing on YouTube. What do you typically do a lot of content, or you just have a setup for a YouTube channel? Or
I've been attending podcasts.
Oh, nice.
Starting a YouTube channel is probably not the worst idea, but yeah, I've been attending podcasts and using the long form for short form.
Nice.
And yeah.
Nice.
Thanks.
Well, first of all,
you,
you definitely need to start a YouTube. Okay.
I like it.
Got to do it,
Okay.
Matthew. Okay.
All right. Let me put that as a start.
Yeah.
As a note
Mainly
here.
because I love the setup. Number one. Number two, sounds like you got a lot of value that I think a lot of people would resonate with, me in particular as well, which we'll get into. But me, when I started my podcast, I only did audio for the longest time. And then I realized the opportunity, obviously, like you mentioned, taking long form, cutting it up to short form. That's obviously a huge benefit from an outreach standpoint, if you want to just get your name out there and create brand awareness. But like YouTube has really stepped up their game like the last 12 months, where like as a creator, you don't have to have a big following or a lot of subscribers. But I mean, I make a pretty good amount of money off YouTube. Because typically, I don't know if you know this, but the podcast in general, YouTube has now surpassed Spotify and Apple as the number one streaming platform for podcast. But ironically, survey says that most people put on YouTube in the background and people listen to the audio. They don't even watch it, but they just listen to it. So, you got to think of like how people watch TV back in the day. We used to just have TV running while you're doing the chores. People are just doing that with YouTube now. So you don't understand that when you do have a podcast, or if you're creating content like yourself, you're repurposing, you put it on YouTube. If you're just getting that watch time up, you can get a lot of money. I mean, I'm making like $300, $400, $500 a month just off having a YouTube channel. So you can't retire off it, of course, but I think it's a great platform, especially with TikTok kicking their ass. I think they're starting to really help creators. So.
Great. Thanks for that. I appreciate it.
For sure, buddy. But listen, man, thanks for hopping on. I really appreciate it. I kind of took a look at your bio, and I'm fascinated to hear more about what you do, because as a new parent myself, I'm always looking to connect to, educators and fellow parents. And are you a parent yourself, or?
I'm not a parent myself. No.
Not yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any plans? I don't know.
I mean, I'm definitely going to be a parent someday. Yeah.
Nice. All right. Good for you. Good. It's the greatest thing ever, man. I never thought I would want to be a dad. And now I'm like, that's all I want to do.
Amazing.
It's the greatest thing ever, dude. Yeah.
Amazing.
Sure.
Amazing.
So tell me a little bit about kind of what you do and how you got into this genre and this work, and kind of what you got going on.
Yeah, well, I'm from a small town, and I went through kind of a series of events of being astonished at things that I didn't learn in school. Like, I didn't learn about sales. I didn't know what commissions were until I was 20. I got absolutely cooked by business taxes, not knowing what they were, set me back many years. It set me back. I had some debt just like all my peers who went to post-secondary school, only mine was from real life experience. And like started exercising properly daily, and that opened up the whole wormhole of physical health, which obviously we didn't get taught. And then went through, I guess, what people would call a spiritual awakening. And the big one for that is just that we're not even talking about it, right? And that's probably honestly the biggest aspect. And what really pressed me to do it is after I'd been a sales consultant. I lived in Hong Kong for several years and worked with people all over the place. And I came back to Canada, and I started helping one of my friends who is a coach, for lack of a better word, yoga, breathwork. And I was helping them do actual business and actually make money. And I realized that I had a niche and I can help entrepreneurs make money. I leaned more towards spiritual entrepreneurs, and I ended up actually leaning more towards women as well for a while. I'm working with a lot of men now. And what ended up coming up was you're not getting sales because of a bunch of psychological stuff. Luckily, I've been obsessed with, it's like a spectrum, I call it. It's like neuroscience, psychology, philosophy, spirituality. It's all on a spectrum. And I've been obsessed with the brain and the mind for 11 or 12 years now. And so I basically, what really pressed me to start working with teens, and now I'm working with parents again, it's kind of a full circle, but there was just so much resistance to doing the things that you had to do to get the sales. Or I work with relationships too. And there was just one thing I realized is my parents did a great job. Shout out to my parents. And I recognize that because of all these just crazy traumas that people had, and how it was just preventing them from their physical health, their financial health, their emotional health, and everything. Sure. And I kind of got to a place where I was like, you know what, I'd rather work on preventative medicine than reactive medicine. And so I'd rather start working with kids because one, they listen and they take directions a bit better.
Yeah. Well, it's because they're not they're not so corrupt by the system.
Well, they're so just fresh. Basically what I do with adults is I call it habit reformation. And it's about physical, emotional, and financial, just reforming your habits, your mindset, your consistency, discipline, adversity, adaptability. And I ran my first program with the teens, and it was 16 weeks, which is too long for teens and too long for me, but it was an excellent time as the executive edge. And we kind of covered 3 arenas, which we've now broken into 3 10-week programs. And so we focus on teaching parents and teens self-leadership, which is emotional regulation. Parents will have a better relationship with their teen after 10 weeks. We focus on health and priorities, which is physical and time management. And then entrepreneurship, which is right now it's just the foundations, but it's going to grow into the first wing is going to be using AI and understanding it, building it. And then it's going to be what did I call it the other day? Good debt. So it's going to be investments. It'll be real estate or crypto or stocks and taxes, right? Yeah. And then just if you want to be the best pen maker in the world, go be an entrepreneur. We're going to help you do that. Nice. So I got started just from this series of events of just oh my God, I can't believe I didn't learn that at school. Can't believe I didn't learn that at school. Can't believe I didn't learn it in school. Can't believe I didn't learn it in school. And it's just again and again and again and again. And then through my own self-discovery, dramatically changing my life for the better with not very complicated concepts.
Yeah. 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 It's interesting that we're having this conversation. Just I don't know, a couple of weeks ago or something, I was having a conversation with my buddy that's also a parent, and we raise our kids quite differently. Not, I don't know if one's good or bad or not, but I think it's all, we got kind of caught up in this conversation about what we were taught each as kids growing up as parents. And I think, going back 100 years ago, when curriculums really first came out, when we started teaching our kids certain things, math, economics, history, all that bullshit. And it's constantly changing and evolving. And I don't think there was an intention to, teach kids one way or the other. I think just in the course of these decades, there's been a laziness in the school system. Maybe it's lack of funding, maybe it's lack of knowledge. We could probably talk about that in grave detail. But I think the one X factor is that parents stopped parenting at some point, and we relied on outsource education, whether that's childcare or maybe school. You got to remember when you talk about public school, which is why we're going to homeschool our kid, but you talk about public school, again, I don't know if there's any type of conspiracy theory of like, you always hear like, they're teaching our kids to be worker bees and, they want to make them stupid as they get older so that way they rely on, maybe there's a little bit of that, but I don't think our government's that intelligent to come up with this master plan to do that. I just think they don't want to put any money behind it because they think, hey, listen, they're going to learn what they need to know, math, history, they're checking the boxes, and then real life is going to teach them other things. Little do they know that the education behind schooling isn't there, meaning when you get out of school, to your point, you're not getting the education to live life. You got the education to be in school. That's great. Good job. But to get out of school, you have zero education on life, whether that's financial, real estate. Like one of the first things I'm going to do with my kid, because now she's walking around, she's having conversations, probably within the year, I already built a lemonade stand. That girl is going to be out in the driveway. We're going to be hustling neighbors. She's going to learn how to save money. We already got a nice little piggy bank set up for her, and she's going to have an allowance of $1 a week. She could stockpile that, and she could buy something really big at the end of the month, or she can just continue to save. And she's going to understand this when she's 3, 4, 5 years old. And we already have a 401k and everything else set up for her, a Roth IRA. Like we all got that set up so that way she's set up down the road. But I think if parents are doing that, you're not educating your kid on why you're doing that. Because then they just go around thinking, oh, money buys toys I want, and toys have tangible value for the time being, but 5 years down the road, I'm going to get sick of them, and then it ends up in a landfill, and that's bad for the earth. And there's like all these things that as we're having these conversations with kids and we're doing things with kids, we're not letting them know that there is consequences to everything that we do. So what you are doing on a daily basis has a huge impact on your life. And like you, I dealt with some pretty serious things the last couple of years, and I've completely shifted my perspective on a lot of things, and that includes working from home and homeschooling our kid. So I love your thought process behind it, because I think it's a good point and it needs to be talked about a lot more, for sure.
Yeah. Excellent. It's excellent that you're doing that. I think like for a lot of parents, they feel overwhelmed, and it's like I say with anything, it's like, just do something, just don't do nothing. And like, it's congrats on homeschooling your kids, 100%. I think that's the direction things are going in. That's actually my long-term vision for the online platform. It's free for parents. Cool. I want it to be a one-stop shop for parents to be able to homeschool. And the reason that parents can't homeschool right now is 2 reasons. They don't have the time, which means they don't have the money. They're just dropping their kids off at daycare. I call it daycare. Yeah. They drop their kids off at daycare, educational daycare, politically leaning one-way educational daycare. And then they don't have the knowledge. And the knowledge it's like, parents know a lot more about how to raise a kid than they have been led to believe, just by being a being. Like we've made it this far. Right. And so that's kind of like the long-term goal for this thing. And long-term could be fast term, it doesn't need to be a long time, but that's definitely at the heart of this purpose project. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. And if you have kids, I think it's pretty obvious to know that kids are much more intelligent when we give them credit for. Like our kid at the age of 1 was grocery shopping with us. So like literally we would, over the course of, it takes a long time, obviously a couple of weeks of like them almost breaking things at the grocery store. But then eventually they understand that, if we grab strawberries and blueberries, and now she has her own little cart, and she goes and she actually picks out what we need. She knows what we need now. And then we get back to the house and we unload everything. Obviously she can't, but we unload it. We put it on the kitchen floor. And then she literally grabs things that go in the fridge and grabs things that go in the pantry. And, you know, and she's one. And again, these are the conversations I'm having with other parents. I'm like, wow, that's great. She's highly developed. And I go, no, she's not. She just does what we do, man. Like, if you can just involve your kid in your life, because the problem is what people don't comprehend is you might be saving, quote unquote, like you said, time by dropping them off because you can't educate them. But now you're working extra hard to pay for that daycare. You're stressed out. You're not spending time with your kid, and they're not learning the values to be a human being.
That's right.
And in so facto, they're learning values from other kids. And more often than not, those kids are assholes. So your kid is now a fantastic human being getting dropped off with other parents that have no time to parent their own children. So now you're just surrounded by these people that are with educators. And my wife used to work at daycare. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of stress on that individual. Most of those people, my wife wasn't included in this, but most of those folks are 18, 19, 20 years old, teaching their kids. Really babysitting is what they are. They're getting paid to babysit 20 kids. They're not able to get the one-on-one attention. And, you know, I think a lot of people, they can afford it for sure to not do that. They have to drop it off and because they have to work extra and they have to do all these things. But again, we're doing all these things, and I did a reel on this the other day. We're doing all these things, working hard, dropping off our kids at daycare. It's $30,000 a year in America to pay for daycare. So now it's $400 a week per kid.
Whoa.
For 5 days a week. It's insane. And so you figured that's almost a salary, $30,000 a year. Like after taxes, that's your take home, right?
Yeah.
So if you just don't work, you stay at home with your kid, you're saving 30 grand.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Are you actually making that 30 grand difference?
Yeah. And bonus, you get to hang out with your kid. Wow, that's exciting. Instead of dropping them off for 6 hours a day with the stranger for 5 days a week. And, you know, again, this is the debate I go back and forth with the parents, and there's nothing wrong with one side or the other. But I think, again, if you just take a step back, and sometimes it takes, like me, a big health scare for me to take a step back and do this. But if you're making less money, you can't buy things you want. Okay. Because that's why we work, right? We work to pay our mortgage, to buy, you know, the car that we want to buy, to get the new iPhone every year, to get our kids toys, yada, yada, yada. So if you just don't buy that stuff, you actually have a lot more money. So you don't really need to stress out about money so much. It's just, again, I think it's the American perception that we have that we need to like get the big house and we got to take care of our kid down the road. And yada. Man, I got a daughter. She's a year old. She loves cardboard boxes. Okay, they don't need the new friggin' backyard and, you know, the big player. They're fine, man. They're happy little human beings. Everything to them is big. You know, like you give them a small toy, they think it's the greatest thing in the world. It's not. You know, this is not so far-fetched that you need to buy all this stuff. So again, I just think it's you know, the American way that we're just so driven and we want all the new things, and there is a lot of good in that, which is why I think, you know, we're a great country to live in. But there's also a lot of downsides to that because we're so selfish and we want, you know, new things all the time, and you know, it's toxic. It's toxic.
It can be. Yeah, it certainly can be. It certainly can be. I mean, kids just put them outside. And that's one of the things too today is like kids, like they got to be bored. Remember being bored? Remember?
Oh, yeah.
Remember that? I remember like one time I was like lying on like the ottoman, just like, and it's like, there's no such thing as delayed gratification anymore, which is really bad. Like it's really bad. It's bad. Right. It's bad for success. We already know that from things like the marshmallow test, which is mainstream now and everybody knows about it. But it's like, it'll lead to men's testosterone being totally depleted. In like way like early, right? And so let them be bored. And you know, also too, I think, and when it comes to like now we're, you know, technology and screens and AI and all that's good and it's definitely useful. I know as a creator, I'm heavily immersed in that space, but like our kid doesn't get any screen time. Just because whether it's an iPad, TV, like nothing. And even if we do have to put something on, it'll be like old school 90s TV.
and it'll be on our TV, nothing that she could touch and hold. Because again, you look at these studies of like Coco Melon and all that, it is scary that these companies literally are putting out content and testing it with kids, and they're going with the content that's the most addicting because they want your kids to be addicted to the screen. And then you take the iPad away that has Coco Melon, and the kids freak out, and they're not even 2 yet. Like it's kind of scary. And again, I go back to the problem is you're dropping your kids off with kids that already have this behavior. So now you have a responsibility as a parent. You're molding this human being to go into society.
Right.
And it starts at an early age. And if you don't mold it the right way, you fucked up. And there's no way you can change that. Back in the day, like our parents, I mean, I'm almost 40. Like me, our parents didn't really have that issue because there wasn't anything aside from TV that could really fuck us up. Like there was no phones, there was no beepers. Like we just started getting that stuff. Like that physically won't mess up cognitive function. But now there's so many things, not just phones, but the comment section and other kids talking shit and cursing at an early age and being disrespectful because they listen to Kanye West. Like there's all these things that could really mess up your kid, like on a cognitive level. And it's scary. It's scary because you don't want to be, as like a parent, I don't want to be super protective and keep my kid. But then I'm also like, man, if I don't do it, unfortunately, I'm like fighting an uphill battle because for every me that's like a psycho, is what my friend says. Like, dude, you're a psycho. What are you doing? Give the kid an iPad. You're weird. I'm the weird one.
Whoa.
Right? Compared to 5 to 10 other parents that have their kids in daycare, give a kid an iPad, like all that stuff. So, it's almost like you were saying about, health and wellness and working out every day. Like I'm big into health and wellness and like cold plunging and sauna and like trying to do everything I can to live longer. And my friends look at me like I'm the weird one.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, what
yeah.
I'm like, I'm going to keep being the weird one, but it's just so funny.
The thing is like, everyone that's a little bit ahead of their time is weird at the time. And like, I have confidence that all your friends in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years are going to be like, like I'm doing that now too. And cause that's been my experience so far. So on May 7th ish, it's not totally locked in yet. May 7th, a friend of mine are doing, cause I told you the entrepreneurship is one of the wings is going to go into using AI and using AI as a team.
Nice.
Okay? And we're teaching parents about it as well. One of my friends from Harvard and I are doing a webinar on AI May 7th. And it's going to be really cool. I really enjoy talking with him. I actually have a call with him later today. And it's like, I'm kind of like the street smarts from like the entrepreneur on the ground, like using the things, kind of like pushing the limits. And he's the book smarts. And he's in a group of all these Harvard kids, adults, all these Harvard men and women, and they're exploring more deeper, like the ethics and the macro in politics and banking and with all these types of things. And so him and I are going to do a big info webinar, and you can come ask him anything about this stuff. And so it's going to be really good. Yeah, it's going to be really good.
That'd be rad. Yeah, right on. Yeah, it is. It is fascinating, man, with AI and everything. Because again, as like a creator, I'm definitely immersed in that world, and Web 3.0, like I'm all about it. Like I'm down with it, and it is interesting because I do a lot of deals with like big brands and things like that, and I've been starting to think that I need to work something into my contracts because I've heard of creators that literally would just do a couple videos for some brands, and then they look through the agreement and they realize, oh, I can use your likeness in AI. So they'll extrapolate that video or audio, text, whatever it is that comes from that video you made for those brands. And then they'll create a new video with AI and then push that out, but not give creator credit for it. And technically now there's no law, which is, again, the US government's behind. Shocker. There's no law
Yeah.
to protect creators and entrepreneurs, and that's why there was a big actor strike and everything like that here as well. Where it's we need to get ahead of that because I think it's happening so quick. And now quantum computing is like literally right on our ass. It's gnarly, man. It's a weird time to be in because it's exciting, but it's also kind of scary.
Yeah.
It's like, is this going to be Skynet in 10 years? Right?
It's kind of the reason why like we have like the self-leadership and the AI, because the self-leadership is supposed to be like the human connected to God, connected to your partner, connected to your children, connected to yourself aspect, because it's going to be really easy to get sucked into VR, AI, crypto land. Yeah. And so we're really like, go out in nature and then like go inside and utilize technology to build your dreams. And
that's right.
So we're really like
going back and forth,
pressing those two. Yeah. We're really pressing those two and bringing them in an integrated way. Yeah.
Smart. Yeah. I love that. And what's kind of like your daily routine that you have set up just at home personally?
Well, first and foremost, I'm in bed no later than 11.
Nice.
And blue light, an hour
before bed,
at least before bed, and no eating 2 hours before bed. And I take magnesium. We all need magnesium. And then, I get a nice sleep. I wake up, I go outside, put my feet on the ground and look for the sun, look at the sun. When you look at the sun, it actually triggers something that goes like it's 12 or 16. I can't remember. I'm just going to say 12. In 12 hours, I'm going to give you some melatonin. And so you go out, you look at, it might be 16 hours, something like that. Anyways, it triggers something. So I look at the sun right away so that I get a good night's sleep that day. And then I'll do breath work, and I'll drink my electrolytes and my water and properly hydrate. And then I will exercise hard, do body weight exercises for 30 to 60 minutes. And then from there, it kind of depends. Usually I'll kind of like lean more into my work day.
Yeah. Nice.
Go for a walk. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm about the same way. I mean, it definitely changes drastically when you have a kid. So soak it up now, brother.
Right. Totally.
When I went on, like you can go back and look at my content from a year and a half ago, and it is fascinating because it's fucking, I wake up every morning at 5 a.m. I'm in Florida, right? So the sun usually hits, depending on the time of year, it'll hit like 6:30, and I'm out there for 15, 20 minutes. I'm doing my grounding. I sit on the ground and like fucking 5 minutes of breath work. I go hard, and then I hop before 7. I hop in the ice bath, and I do that for 5-10 minutes. I warm up with some kettlebells and strength training, and then I hop in the sauna right afterwards. And then I jump in and do a cold shower, and then I'll start my work day. And then around lunch, I usually take my dog for a run. And then I end the day, obviously, eating dinner, and I do the magnesium. I use Thorne. I love Thorne products. And that's usually my night before kids. But now it's like I'll be lucky if I can do that 3 days a week, which is still, I feel proud of myself for doing that, but it is a big challenge for sure. Because the sleep schedule is obviously the big thing, right? That kind of throws everything off.
Yeah. I mean, the thing I always tell parents, despite not being one yet, is that like, it doesn't need to be 30 minutes. It can be 1 minute of breath work.
Sure.
Right. You can go for a 1 minute walk and do 1 minute of breath work and then lift the kettlebells for 1 minute and then get in the cold water for 1 minute. Yeah. It's like the routine, the consistent showing up is the real, like really, 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 really important thing. Opposed to the whole time.
Yeah.
I
got to get back in it, dude. I mean, luckily she's getting old enough now to where I'm going to involve her, right? Like I'm going to set up my home, because I have a home gym. I'm going to set up the home gym to where there's some safe weights for her to get involved in and do some stuff. And that way it'll at least buy me some time to where I can do things. So I am looking forward to that for sure. Where if I can get her to like, just watch me do the ice bath and play and laugh a little bit. Because I tried to do it like once she started getting mobile, it's been more of a challenge. But when she started walking around and running around, all that, I'd hop in the ice bath for a little bit, and then she'd go to the kettlebells, 35, 50-pound kettle. She'd try to lift them up. I go, no, sweetie, no. And she's fine. And then she makes her way to she finds the 5-pound dumbbells that are linked up to the rope. And I'm like, oh, I need to get up. So then I had to get out of the ice bath and do it. And now I'm drenched, and now I'm kind of like, hey, mom, come get her. It's like, so it's definitely this thing that we're going back, we're back and forth on, but it's
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. And it is, it is fun, to keep her involved. Like, she knows when I go in the garage, she knows it's workout time. And for other parents out there, I always tell them, if they are trying to do any type of wellness activity, fitness, if you want to get involved with grounding, breath work, just involve your kids. Like you said, a minute a day, whatever, but just involve them, because I'm realizing now, just watching her in a year and a half, the first 6 months, obviously she has no idea, right? More important things are going on. But now she's like a year, 2 years. Now she doesn't touch things in my gym as much as she did a year ago, right? Because I think she's starting to understand what's going on. Oh, he's working out. Oh, it's dangerous. He kept telling me no every single day. But eventually she'll understand that this is where we go. We go here in the morning. This is where we train. This is where we lift things up and put them down. This is where we do ice bath. And then eventually, I think through curiosity, either she'll get involved in it or she'll just get out of your way. Either way, they kind of know what's up. And I think that's probably the issue with parents, is they just don't involve their kids. So that way, when they try to do something they love, whether it's date night or doing something in the house or something, the kid is kind of like there bothering you, but they don't know any better. You have to get them involved so that way they understand what you're doing. And then eventually they're either going to help you or they'll stay out of your way. Like, again, going back to the grocery store example, like our kid now helps us put away groceries. So one of my favorite things she does is she helps us feed our dog. So like, she'll literally go get the dish from the ground. She'll go out in the garage. She can't turn the little handle to open up the kibble, but I'll scoop it. I'll put it in there. She'll walk it over. She'll set it down. So again, it takes me a couple extra minutes a day, but now it's one less thing I have to do. That's how I look at it. Like, I'm looking at it a year from now, dude, I'm going to have less chores to do, because she's going to know exactly what to do. Now, am I going to get her to mow the lawn? No, I'm not going to throw this kid in child labor, but I'm just saying there are things that you can teach them to make your life a little bit easier. And here's a bonus. You're teaching your kid how to be a human, how to be someone that can, be in society and be active in society. And that's what we're doing. We're raising little humans,
Well, there's a couple amazing things that you're doing that I want to just highlight. The first one is that kids are like, I used to say, like, because this quote actually has to do, I think, with sales teams, but they do 0% of what you say and 50% of what you do.
Ooh, I love that.
And so that was actually like the first kind of like, I was like, oh, like I have to be teaching these parents. I was kind of like, oh, I want to go improve preventative medicine because adults aren't listening. But it's like, I need to teach the parents, because if the 13-year-old kid's talking about the amygdala and dad and mom don't know what that is, then that's not going to be a very good dinner time conversation. But if everyone's on board, it can be totally magical. They'll do 0% of what you say and 50% of what you do. And so then the next, because you brought that up, but one thing that just like I really want to give you some praises for, and for you to have on maybe the front of your mind, is that what you're really doing is you're showing her your programming. I wish there was a better word, but this is what's safe for her. And so this is going to be the type of man that she's going to be seeking. And if that's a man that's up early in the gym, doing the cold water, which all of that is just showing self-discipline and self-care, then what you're doing is you're setting a stage for the masculine example that she's going to lean to and feel safer with when she's older. And so that's like, hold that at the front of your mind before you hold any of these other things at the front of your mind. You're doing an excellent job, it sounds like. So hats off to you, dude. Seriously.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That means a lot. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. That's to me now is even more like fueling the fire. And I think almost because, like,
so here's something. One more thing really interesting.
Ahead.
There's a Harvard study, and they did it on. I think it was I can't remember if it was on inner city kids or just inner city kids. I can't remember, but it's a large study, and they found because like, so for me, if I like look at like every single thing that went wrong for me in my life, and I keep going taking accountability. Why did that
Mm.
happen?
Mm.
Why did I do that? What did I do? Why? At the very base is self-esteem, self-worth, right? And that's what I feel is like at the heart of maybe everything that our generations are going through. But they found an the best way by a landslide to build children's self-esteem is responsibility. And so you made the joke about child labor, but here's the reality. Farm kids have high self-esteem and they're happy. And why? Because they are shoveling pig poo when they're 3, and they are like bucking wood, and they are working. And so it's like it's kind of this like really interesting thing where it's like on one hand, like I agree. Like, you don't have to carry groceries anymore, and then you throw them a couple bucks a week. It's like, great, I'm teaching them about money, but I don't have to do that stuff I don't want to do anymore. It's like, great, win-win. But the biggest win is that responsibility builds their self-esteem.
Wow.
It's an excellent study. I encourage you to look at it.
Wow. That's such a good point. Yeah, I think I actually remember, seeing that study somewhere where it does talk about self-esteem a lot. And that's I think there was a correlation between this new generation that's kind of immersed in technology, where now like testosterone is the lowest, fertility is the lowest. There's all these like things, and the root of it, to your point, is self-esteem and kind of what we did. We went from using our hands to sitting on the couch for 24 hours a day. Yeah, that's super interesting. Yeah, and it is hard as a parent. I mean, people are out there listening, like, oh, but man, I got shit to do, and after a long day of work, and yada yada. Then don't have kids.
Oof.
Then don't have. I mean, that's the thing. If you're more focused on like, I'm working, I want to relax, I want to watch Netflix, then I mean, you got a problem. You got to really look deep down and be self-aware. Because I was lucky enough to have parents that really did a great job, I think, raising me. And I screwed that up when I was in my teens. I rebelled, and they got divorced. Not that it's their fault. They obviously are much happier people now. But I think I kind of like at 15 when they got divorced, I definitely rebelled a little bit. But up until that point, I think they did a great job kind of teaching me values and ethics and things I needed to do that. I'm now instilling that into my daughter. But I think that's one thing we forget as parents, is because we kind of get like crowded by like all the noise and the pressure that we're told, like at 30, you have to have a house, and you have to be married, and you have to have kids, and you have to have a savings account and a 401k, and you should invest in the stock market. Like, we always have these pressures of these numbers that are made up and fake. And all that comes down to is like just buying new things, like making us more consumers, as opposed to what like I believe now as a father is like, we're put on this earth to procreate, to make other humans, and to make our species thrive for thousands and thousands of years. And in order to do that, we have to raise good humans. So that is like the biggest responsibility. And when, I had like a health scare where I had a tumor that was in my lung, and I have a third of my lung that had to get removed because of it. Thank goodness it wasn't benign, it wasn't cancerous, but it was a scary time. And, during that time we were trying to get pregnant. And then finally when we found out, it was like, that's when I decided to just go all in, open up my own business. Now that's what I've been doing for the past 3 years, but I'm able to spend every moment with my daughter, and I make way less than I used to. But I'm so much happier, and that's not for everyone to, let me quit my job and start my own company. It's not, I'm not saying to do that, but I'm saying you have to understand that this shit that we're doing, man, it's all made up, bro. Like everything is made, like the days of the week were made up. That's how crazy this planet is. Like we made everything up. So you're chasing like this fake thing. That isn't, when it all comes down to it, when it all boils down, we're supposed to just repopulate, and every generation needs to be better and better and better and better than the next. In order to do that, you have to focus on repopulating.
I like that.
So that is,
I'm not saying that,
job.
but I'm not saying that. I'm not saying quit your job and trying to become an entrepreneur, but also not saying quit your job and become an entrepreneur.
That's for sure.
I think that like one thing that's really, I think something important to add is like, paying for experiences, and experience is different than buying a new thing, especially because those experiences typically provide either or a like revelatory experience that traditionally will shift you towards health, or experience that will dramatically assist you in raising the children. And so I think one of the like reasons why we would be really inclined, like there's really only like 3 reasons why you should be like really inclined to make like tons of money, and it's like experience, have a good family experience, and your health.
Right.
The thing that's going into the experiences.
Yeah. That's such a great point.
Yeah.
It all comes down to that. Yeah, well said. Yeah, and I think again that's the Are you in America, or you say you're in Canada?
I'm in Peru, actually.
Oh, you're in Peru right now. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm from Canada. I've spent some time in the States, but I'm in Peru right now.
Good. Yeah, spending some time in the States is all you need. You don't need more than that. Yeah, when I we talk about experiences. We just took our daughter when she turned a year. We took her to Italy for the first time. Her first trip ever was a 10-hour flight, and it was miserable. But when she got there, she wasn't walking. She started walking as we were in Italy. So her first walking was in Italy. And we did everything from the touristy stuff to hanging out with the locals and everyone saying, ciao, buongiorno, oh, bella, bambina. Like it was just the greatest experience ever. And everybody that comments on because I made obviously some reels about it, talking about the experience. Everyone's like, why would you bring your kid? They're never going to remember that. That's their first thought. It's like, hold on. First of all, they probably will, number one. Number two, I'm documenting everything. But number three, we're remembering it. Yeah. Hi, the parents.
Hello, parents.
But that just goes to show you, these jabronis are the same ones that are saying, don't take your kid to Italy, but you should buy them a $3,000 backyard set when they're 2. Just take that $3,000, bro, and go to Italy. We live just like
go to Italy. Yeah,
exactly. We live like kings and queens. So again, I think it's this going back to circling. Americans are just so like materialistic, and when people talk about experiences and doing things with your kids and like grounding and doing all this stuff that's like good for your health long term, they're just so short-minded, and they're just focusing on like what is now and what is here, and they're not understanding that like everything from the clothes on your back to the furniture you're sitting on, it's all going to end up in a landfill one day. It could be a year, it could be 5 years or 10 years, but the only thing you can take with you is the time and the memories and the experiences that you have. Like everything else is going to be gone. Like what you have today is going to be different in 20 years. And when you start
100%.
Thinking like that, it really changes your perception for sure when it comes to that stuff.
100%. And like she might not remember that experience consciously. But the constant time with parents, wherever you are, right? It's like there's kind of like 2 things. Like what are the state of the parents and how much time are you spending together? And when you are in Italy having gelatos and having a good time, her body will keep that score.
Yeah.
Right. And that's like memory is an interesting thing, because there's memory and then there's recall. Those are 2 totally different things. And there's fascial memory. But I think that like doing things like that is a really excellent idea. 10 hours. What a trooper. What a champion. You guys got to finally be those people on the plane, eh?
Dude. and thank God there was like both flights there and back. There was like 4 other kids that were way worse. So we're like, like it was cool. Yeah, it was cool. So that's really what you hope for as a parent. You're like, our kid's going to be wild, but as long as there's a couple other kids that are worse, we won't be remembered. That's what you hope for.
Yeah, props to you guys for doing that. And like, I don't know, man, like I don't know, like keep saying friends. I don't know. This might be a little personal, but it's like if they're not supporting all your health and you're traveling and you know that what you're doing is good for you and good
Yeah.
for your family, then it's like, I don't know, protect your energy too, man. Like there's lots of
For
people
sure.
out there like us that are on team
Yeah.
integrated spiritual, financial, family health. And
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know, I'd encourage you to go where your cup's getting full, not challenged.
No, for sure, dude. I appreciate that. Yeah, you're right. I mean, these people that I've known for years, and again, I don't think they're bad humans. They're just like,
Definitely not.
yeah, they're just like I don't know. They're sucking on the tit, I guess, of America. It's like I was the same guy 5 years ago. It's just everyone asked me like what happens. I go, the health thing happened. That's what shifted it completely. Like when you're, I listened to I forget what podcast it was. I'm gonna have to like. I might fucking throw it up here if I do a clip for it because it's killing me that. I'm trying to remember. But there's this one podcast that this dude was talking about like being a parent and just I'm getting a little emotional just thinking about it. But he was like, the only thing that you're gonna remember when you're sick is like you want to get healthy. That's the only thing that's on your mind. When you're sick, you want to get healthy. But when you're not sick, when you're healthy and things are great, you're worried about everything else. You're worried about your car, your house, your job. But when you are sick, you only want to get healthier. And when you start thinking that just goes to tell you nothing matters. Because when you're sick, you only want to get healthier. So nothing else matters. And when you just start thinking like that and you change it, man, everything else happens. And that level of indifference, I think, just overall makes you a better human, makes you less stressed, makes you less anxious, less depressed. When you're not in the rat race, it's way better. It's way better.
Yeah, it reminds me of this excellent concept. One of my best friends, Olivia, she has this thing called DARM method. And it's called, basically what it is it's about not hiding from the fact that we're all going to die, and then actually bringing that into conversations with your loved ones. So it's like you're getting in a fight with your wife, and then that thought process is both shared by both of you, and you probably don't say that thing that you might have said before you left the room. The next time you hug your buddy goodbye, it's like, this could be the last time you hug your buddy goodbye. Totally good. Life happens. And just kind of bringing that more in to reality, because it's a guarantee for us all. And it's just that kind of thinking along the lines. I've heard that before too. So I definitely heard that podcast or someone's told me about it, but it's just that like priorities and and it's beautiful when you bring it into the consciousness. Like you're really looking at this person like, wow, like I love them and this could be the last time I see them. And it doesn't need to be devastating, because it probably won't be, but it really is just like you hug them different, and there's so many stories of just people being like, man, if I could have that last time, I could have that last time. Just like when they're like, when I was healthy, I should have stayed healthy instead of da. Yeah. It's potent frameworks.
Yeah, dude. Ooh, that's great. Yeah, I'm definitely going to use that. My wife's not going to like it too much, but I think it's an interesting thing that I'm going to try to convince her to work into. That's great. Because we do, I typically lose a lot of the battles. So from now, I'm just going to be like, I could die. Come on. It'll be
That's perfect. Yeah.
It'll be a
Real
little
Life
bit
Skills
more,
Academy.
it'll be more sexier than that.
Tell your wife when she's mad at you that this might be the last time they ever speak to me again.
Yes. So check out Real Life Academy. Listen, Matthew, I didn't realize, dude, we're almost at an hour. This has been good, man. This is a great combo. I appreciate your insight. And we'll definitely have to do this again, man, because I think there's a lot more we can talk about for sure.
Definitely. I'd love to.
Do me a solid if you can, brother. Let everyone know where they could find you. Let everyone know about your academy. Of course, for people just listening, I will leave Matthew's info at the in the description below. But yeah, give us a little shout out, Matt. What do you got going on?
reallifeskillsacademy.com. Find me right now on Instagram, soon to be YouTube. Matthew Finlin, at Matthew Finlin. Real Life Skills Academy, where we help adults, parents, kids, families with real life skills free platform for parents. The platform is meant to be designed by parents for parents, in contrast to the existing education. If you're listening, it's March 2025, and the sooner you get in, the better, because we want all the feedback, and we want to build this thing together. And we're really kicking off in the next couple months here, so we're really looking forward to seeing you on our weekly calls. And please reach out, say hi anytime. Yep, thanks a lot. Thanks for having me on today.
I love it. Matthew, crushing it, buddy. Great job. Thanks again.